Today we're gonna look at the rank 1 Axie origin player by the name of Akaringo, and in the top right you can see that his PvP win rate is 89% based on the last 100 PvP games. The team that he's running is a plant double aqua, but it's not a very standard plant double aqua. I mean, my plant is pretty standard, but the aquas are not. So looking at the hero of this episode, he's running the plant on the back lane actually, and the reason you want to do that is because of the Rosa that gives you 1v1 outplay ability. The opponent that he runs against is a double plant player with a bird in the mid lane, but what we want to do is look at the birds or the aquas with bird cards and what cards is he actually running. So the first one that we want to bring our attention to is the clamshell. This one gives him attack boost, and I believe that stacks with all of these AoE cards. So this is an AoE team. What does that mean? Area of effect damage. Chubby, attack all enemies. Tri-feather, attack all enemies. Earwing, attack all enemies. So you can see where this is going. He wants to attack every single Axie at once, dealing a lot of damage. So this card is effectively dealing 75 damage. This one is effectively dealing 60 damage, and this one is effectively dealing 150 damage. So a lot more damage than you can do with those single cards. And I'm not sure this one stacks. It doesn't look like it stacks. Multi-hit attacks deal 4 HP per hit. I'm not sure if it's non-multi-hit or if it's multi-hit with AoE. So we'll have to look at that, but he is running a double Bloodlust, double Nemo as well, just so he can have enough energy to play those chubbies. The mid lane doesn't have a chubby, he does have an Earwing, he does have a Tri-feather, so these two cards are exactly the same. Then he does have Pliers and Garo, which allows him to crack through a singular axe a little bit more efficiently. And he also has Square Teeth, which consumes the current shield and converts them into bonus damage, capped at 100 shield. And the backlane plant, pretty standard. He does have the leafy pot with the pumpkin, which grants him a leaf as well. So let's run this game and see what does he do. Round 1, very simple. He just goes for the pumpkin so he can get the leaves, and the opponent goes for Sirius, dealing 102 damage, and then the next shell as well, dealing quite a lot of damage because he does have the rune that does AoE damage as well. Now we see the Earwing going, and it does 44 and 15. So Bloodlust, I don't think this is how it should be working, but it deals 59 damage to every single Axie for just 1 energy. I mean, that is ridiculous when it comes to the damage output for 1 energy. He again has a Tri-feather as well, so you can see that damage, 40 damage. That is way too much. He goes for the, does he go for the Square Teeth? Looks like he does, dealing 40 damage as well. And then he goes for the Garo as well, dealing 81 damage. So the Bloodlust run, an incredibly efficient rune, and that's why it is a mystic, I believe. I haven't been able to get it. I'm not sure how people get to Bloodlust. I can't even get a tough strike to save my life, but some people are just really blessed when it comes to the crafting system. I haven't been able to do that. Let's see what our hero can do. Little piece to apply vulnerable. Tri-feather and Earwing unfortunately blocked for this turn, so he's gonna miss out on a lot of damage, but it looks like it will not be an issue. He does save one of these cards, so he doesn't use all of his energy, and if you do that you can save a card for the next turn. So he's gonna draw a Earwing yet again, and that way he will be able to do quite a lot of damage to all of these existing Axies, about 50 or 60 damage for 1 energy to each and every single Axie. Now we see that coming through, that is 65 damage to the front lane plant. And then we see, did we see Chubby coming through as well? I think we did. A Carrot coming through as well, and then Pliers to deal a little bit extra damage, 80 damage for 1 energy, and his opponent is just going to surrender because there's no way that he can beat this team. Now jumping into game number 2, let's see how Akaringo can deal with a sustained team. What is a sustained team? It is a wall gecko at the back. You see a double Sakura being played. We see the cucumber slices, and it's basically about getting yourself into those blood lust moments, or the blood moon moments rather. So you have a lot of heals stacked up. You have a bunch of shield, you have the wall gecko, you have the tricky to heal yourself up, and a bunch of shield as well. But it looks like that's not going to be a challenge for Akaringo. I see he's already dealing plenty of damage. Let's see what else he can come up with. Magic Sack, Cucumber Slice, already healing boost being snacked up on the back lane. 70 shield on the front lane plant to try and save it for a little bit longer. Let's see what Akaringo can break through that. We see Gero coming through, we see the clamshell as well, a carrot, and then a tri-feather will be able to finish him off. So he does kill the front lane plant, and he also applies doubt, which means that this back lane will not be healing as much as it should, decreased by 50% less HP from healing. So actually applying doubt is just incredibly efficient, having those tri-feathers in your team so you can beat that sustainable team. That's exactly what Akaringo is trying to do. Ply is coming through for about 90 damage. I mean, Bloodlust is just a little bit too much when it comes to being a rune. We see Chubby coming through, dealing about 130 damage to 2 targets for 2 energy. That is plenty of damage. And let's see what the opponent can come up with. We see Wall Gecko coming through, Scary Spoon being played, 140 shield on that back lane. Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be effective enough to save this reptile for another 5 or 7 rounds, 5 or 7 turns to get to that Blood Moon? I don't think that's going to be enough. There's already plenty of damage coming through. Gero applying Fragile as well, so he can have Doubt and he can have Fragile if he does get a decent enough card draw. Playing the Scaly Spoon, playing the Red Ear, and probably the Tricky as well. But he does get himself up to max HP as well as 120 shield, so maybe this reptile does have a chance. Let's see, Little P is applying Vulnerable as well. So that Tri-Feather will apply Doubt, so there's already a Fragile, a Vulnerable, and a Doubt on that reptile. A lot of debuffs coming through, but still the shield has not been cracked, it has not been broken. 330 health on that reptile, being quite healthy. Unfortunately, those shield cards not as effective because they apply 20% less shield because of that Fragile that has just now disappeared. Now let's see what Akaringo can come up with. We see the Cactus, which does have Reflect on it, so the plant drops down to 206 HP. And we see the Carrot come through, the Reptile drops down to 247 health, but still sitting quite healthy. We see the Wall Gecko, which will reduce 50 HP, but does increase the amount of damage being taken, actually lessens the amount of damage being taken by 30%. 70 shield on that reptile, but the HP is no longer full, so I think Akaringo is moving ahead when it comes to this game. We see the Bloodlust still being effective, taking 10 damage per card. We see Doubt being applied yet again. Square Teeth as a 0 cost. That does apply damage. I think that's the only 0 cost that applies damage. 25 damage as well. I think Square Teeth is incredibly good in Origin. Wall Gecko yet again losing that 50 HP, and I'm not sure how this reptile is supposed to win this game. Looks like Akaringo has this one in the bag. 150 HP left on that reptile. We see the Square Teeth coming through, we see the Cactus, we see the Carrot being played. Serious left as well, which should deal about 60 damage. And Bloodmon kicks in as well, taking 14 health from that reptile. It doesn't have a heal, all he has is shield. A little bit of healing coming through the Sakura as well, but probably not enough to save this reptile. I mean, 210 shield is a good amount. Let's see whether he can reflect enough to deal some significant damage. We see the Earwing coming through, losing 40 HP on the Aqua because of the bleed as well as the reflect. We see the Rosa coming through as well, and that reptile will not be able to do anything, but it's still getting close. Look at those Aquas, 144 HP on the mid one, 120 on the front one, but unfortunately the Rosa will finish off this reptile. Well played to Akaringo, waiting that Rosa out. I probably would have rushed it earlier on, but that's not what he does, and he does take the win. So you can see how this team is incredibly good based on the cards that he is playing. He's not missing anything. He has the fragile, the vulnerable, the doubt. He can beat any team that is out there, and the bloodlust runes help as well. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily playthrough and content, and I will see you in the next one.